Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Jawa Cup event. As always, I'm Dan Tartaglione, also known as D Tartag1. Joining me today is Hall of Famer Mr. Chris Gogolin. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing fantastic. Excited for another classic Star Wars matchup here in this Jawa top eight. And this one should not disappoint.
No. So for this one, we have, and I believe they're teammates, Jeremy DiPaolo versus Scott Lingrell.
Not
They're
teammates.
not teammates. That's okay. Did Jeremy like? Oh, wait, Scott's not on a team. That's what it is, right?
I think that's the case. He's Scott. He's kind of just talks to everybody. So
I mean, does he really talk to everybody? Because he comes up with like the most interesting of decks, especially his Dark Side Musician deck that we've seen a lot of. We've seen it at Worlds. We saw it at the Supreme Southern Showdown. Uh, I don't know if we're going to see it in this Jawa Cup top eight. However, I do know that it looks like Jeremy decided to go with Dark Side, making Scott go with Light Side. Is that the right play?
I think if you're afraid of him playing musicians, I think it's smart to play the other side first. Because if you win by, you know, 20 or 25 with the other matchup,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, all right, well, he's going to roll out musicians. What do I do? Just play a deck that doesn't go to the ground and be like, I can eat 10 or 15 points of damage from him draining on the ground and, the court objective and stuff like
Hopefully.
that, and just get enough damage through in space to win the matchup.
Okay, so it looks like the players are set. Let's go ahead and get into the game. Again, Jeremy is our dark side. Scott is the light side player. And our marketing advocate, Mr. Jared Napolitano, has given us an option for a trivia question. So we'll definitely be giving that out a little bit later today or during the game. So we have map versus. Looks like Scott's going to go with a. I'm assuming this is a Let the Wookiee Win main stack. I know he played it at the Supreme Southern Showdown.
That would
Uh,
make sense based
were,
on this start. Yeah.
are you surprised? No, mind what you have learned.
No, I feel like that's a deck that's, he's had mixed results with that lately, so
Mm-hmm.
I can see him trying to move on to something else. And, obviously this one did pretty well because he made the top eight at Atlanta, all right?
Yes.
So obviously this had some, good success for him, and other players have used similar decks and had
Mm-hmm.
some decent success with. I think Casey played something similar for a while, and yeah.
Jeremy going with Bow to the First Order and Mind Tricks Don't Work on Me. Scott going with Like My Father Before Me, Walkling, and I Must Be Allowed to Speak.
Mind Tricks is an interesting start, to avoid getting a beatdown as
Mm-hmm.
long as your opponent initiates the battle. A lot of people forget that. They think it's a get out of jail free card like a Gick. It's
It's
not.
not.
It's not quite as good as a Gick, but if you start a battle and get your own guys excluded or immediately lost or something like that, that can't save you.
Looks like Jeremy does go pull out the finalizer. Scott goes ahead and pulls Admiral Akbar with a rebel leadership.
And the resistance agent is Luke, for those of you following along at home.
Now, do you feel like that is the right choice going with Luke?
I mean, having Luke lose all immunity to attrition, not usually a good thing that you
Mm-hmm.
want to try to avoid. However, depending on what his other character package looks like, if he doesn't have multiples of other characters,
That's
he might
true.
be afraid of not being able to keep him on the zero side.
Okay, Jeremy activates one, uses his starting interrupt. I know you know what I've come for to go pull the Kylo Ren's command shuttle.
Yeah, I would expect Jeremy to kind of just, you know, map's going to take a very typical line. Obviously you're expecting multiple Jedi Lukes. He's got the Farm Polar and Walkling, but this is a deck that's probably going to come after you. So Jeremy's going to want to have some stuff before he puts too much on the table.
And he's right now he's only getting 9 force. Jeremy only giving up the two, essentially the 3 icons.
Yeah, he's gonna pull his locations, maybe thin out his hand, putting Spectre out, and
Mm-hmm.
probably just move to draw phase and draw a couple cards here and see, especially depending on when he looked for that site. Is he seeing things like PV or something else that he can pair, or Phasma, any of these guys that he can pair up and get some additional card pulls, or make his finalizer feel a little more sturdy.
And we see that he does do that. So Scott pulls his grabber. Jeremy pulls his secret plans as well. Looks like he's going to save a force and pass turn over Scott, who right now is only generating 9 on his first turn. So we're probably going to see him do something similar, like drop some locations, maybe try and get out. I don't think he's going to get out of character just yet.
It's always funny when you say, "Hey, he's only activating 9 on his first turn." It's okay.
Yeah.
He hasn't even gone yet. He's already getting 9 force. So it's like, all right.
There's a menace phase. I mean, he's getting 5 by himself, plus he's getting 6 by himself. So that's kind of the thing about the game nowadays is like if you're not getting at least 8 for the light side on the first turn, you're kind of in a bad situation.
Definitely going a little bit slower. Going to slow things down. Although, Scott's games typically do take a bit of a slower start to them. Being his opponent,
Mm-hmm.
players are. He has a reputation, of course, for playing things that are a little unorthodox or unusual. So players have a tendency to sort of take that first or second turn a little slower than they might ordinarily
Mm-hmm.
against some other players, and that tempo change can also work to his advantage sometimes.
Okay, Scott does just deploy the Tatooine farm as he is going to draw some cards.
Definitely going to see more than a handful of battles in this game, so it does not
Yeah,
surprise me
I
that.
think you're right. One thing that with Scott throwing out menace phase early, like that could really help him. Like
hmm
if he is able to satisfy menace phase a lot of this game, Jeremy's not going to do a lot of damage.
I mean, you're going to shut down the finalizer drain bonus, the weapon drain bonuses, the
Mm-hmm.
sight drain bonus. I mean, the steadfast will still equalize icons if it's
Yeah.
at Starkiller base or whatnot. Ooh,
Okay. There's a shocking information from Scott and no drop shield, so that's going to hit Jeremy for 5 cards.
that could be game changing depending on what like. If he puts the finalizer back after he's already used
Yeah.
his once per game pull,
If he
you
puts
know,
back the command shuttle, like he's already pulled that on his turn,
mhm.
like that's a really strong play from Scott.
And it's the random combo too. It's like, all right, well,
Yeah, when was the last time you saw somebody play the combo version?
it's been a while. It
But this
has.
is Scott, so
hmm
okay, Jeremy does go down to 8 cards. He's going to get 12 force to work with this turn. Like outside of Jakku, he's really got all of his locations on the table. Maybe he's playing like a blockade flagship bridge.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, but probably not. I mean, he's got a decent amount himself,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's going to come down to obviously Jakku would be the other one thing, or possibly a different system, I guess. But Jakku is the one that makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Scott with a 14 card hand right now. So unless Jeremy is playing a Monarch
Mm.
or the Monarch combo at this point, I mean, you got to think like Scott's in a good position, especially with that Grimtosh hitting 5 cards.
Now, if you look at Scott's list from Supreme Southern Showdown in Atlanta, he did have Grimtosh on that list.
Was it Grimtosh V or the combo?
It was not the combo; it was the regular Grimtosh. So that certainly could have been something Jeremy should have at least potentially known about.
Mm-hmm. As we see, Jeremy does draw some cards. He saves 9, but he stops at 12.
Not going to get hit with that again. You never know when he
No,
might have a way to pull it back out. So,
but at the same time, like having 9 force in your force pile looks pretty good if you're Jeremy.
Also, Rebel CPA, thank you very much for renewing your Twitch Prime subscription for 11 months now.
Okay, here we go. Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight going down to the farm. That's going to get him a card out of his use pile with I Must Be Allowed to Speak. Again, Jeremy does not pull the I Must Be Allowed to Speak shield because you're already pulling cards at the farm, and that's where one of the locations that it limits you to pulling cards from now.
Yeah, no point in pulling that shield if it's only going for that one site.
As Scott utilizes Like My Father Before Me, there's a Luke's lightsaber onto Luke. I'm not sure that I necessarily like this play from Scott. Like, getting cards out of your hand is good, but at the same time, Jeremy's got 9 force sitting in his force pile. He's got a 12 card hand. That's a lot of stuff he can do on his next turn.
It is, but I mean, I have two things. One, you got to start doing something. You can't just sit there staring at each other forever.
True.
And two, he did just hit him with the Grimtosh. He's hoping maybe he got some pieces of the combinations because Jeremy didn't really do anything in this turn. He basically just activated and like drew 4 cards and said go.
True.
So obviously he didn't like what he had left in his hand, and that's why he didn't put anything out last turn. He just, tried to reload a little bit.
Yeah, we see Scott use We still got a Grand Army. There's the Naboo Boss Nash Chambers. Scott's still in his deploy phase here.
Yes, got some. They both have. He's going to back him up. Okay.
Comes down with the Lando Calrissian Scoundrel. Again, that's going to give him a free use pile pool, but he's not going to have a force going into at the end of his turn. So he throws down the 2 characters. Yeah, he's going to have 13 cards in his hand here, but he's not going to have any force just in case he wants to grab something, or if Jeremy comes down with, say, like a first strike and multiple characters and hits his characters, makes him forfeit 0, cause a little bit of overflow. I'm not saying that could happen.
I mean, if your opponent has the nuts, they have the nuts, right? Nothing you can do about that, really, especially this early in the game. But, he's setting up a solid drain of 2. He's got his resistance agent on the table and backed up. But that is the thing, too, is that Luke has no immunity to attrition. So if Lando gets hit and made forfeit 0 by the multiple characters that have weapons in this deck, even a 1 makes Luke also lost.
Yeah, and here we go. Jeremy does activate. He's got 21 cards in his force pile. Goes to deploy another location with Circular Base, but looks like he is out of locations. I know there is like the docking bay. There is also the prison. Not necessarily sure he's running those locations, though.
Not locations we've seen in quite some time.
There's Mara Jade with lightsaber going down. Captain Phasma.
Now, he doesn't get used pile pulls from Phasma
no, he
there.
does not. FN 2199, also known as Nines, FN 2003. Like, Jeremy has the cards. Like, and remember, this was after the Grimtosh. Aplak, that's 3 Destiny for Jeremy. This is what I was a little bit afraid of. Like, Jeremy had so much force. Like, I know it's 3 Destiny to 2 right now.
Yeah, but FN's got the ability to cancel Lando's game text. And obviously Nines can cancel a lightsaber weapon.
And this is good for Jeremy because, like you said, like, we don't know what Scott is playing for Darkseid. If Scott is playing his Musician's deck, a deck that is very capable of getting in a really good beatdown, you want to do as much damage with your Darkseid as you can. Okay, no retrieval from Lando, as 1, Secret Planets is on the table, and 2, Scott doesn't have a lost pile.
He does not. Obviously, the ability here. This is a favorable battle for Jeremy for sure, but also he's just committed a handful of his strong characters all to that 1 site, which may have also been part of the strategy.
He's going to use it to cancel Luke's game text and make it so he cannot fire any weapons this turn.
Interesting.
I like that play.
Interesting that he would take that approach.
Mara swings her lightsaber at Lando.
Unless
if he's got Sniper Dark Strike or You Are Beaten here, that's not good for Scott.
Mhm.
Okay,
Now
there's an Imp Command for
he
Destiny, so it's a 4. Lando's going to be hit. Spectre of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, Lando's sliced and diced 2 times over.
Now Lightside is still getting 2 Battle Destiny by not canceling Lando's text, but if he's also thinking, oh, never mind, he's got the
There's the
Sniper Dark
Sniper
Strike.
Dark Strike, yeah.
So in that case, it all makes sense.
Oh,
Oh,
Scott with
sense.
the sense!
Uh-oh.
And he draws a 1, so yeah, that's going to go through.
That is a very significant play for sure.
Oh, yes. I mean,
Now,
Lando is, he loses all of his forfeit here, so Luke's going to have to go.
right. But he's saving some power. He may not take as much overflow here.
Yeah.
And, if Jeremy's thinking maybe he doesn't have the force to upkeep Applek anyway, Lando drawing the second Destiny isn't entirely bad.
Okay, there's a 1 for the first Destiny. A 6, solid 6. He has to use or lose 1 force here.
This may also tell us what his plans are. He's going to use the force. So Applek's probably going to go here.
And a 4 for a total of 11. That's going to bring him up to 30.
Luke forfeits for 9, so he's basically at 21. Each of his Destiny draws is +1,
So he draws a 6 himself.
he shouldn't take overflow here.
No overflow. And a 3. So he's going to have 21. Luke covers, like you said, 9. So Scott not losing anything besides Luke, Lando, and a lightsaber. Jeremy, however, has to lose his 1 trooper, Applek, and probably another. And I think that's it.
No, they cover. Yeah, it's
they
nine,
cover.
9 total. So Applek and FN would cover that there anyway. And again,
There's
it kind of
Lando.
seemed like Applek was the one who's probably going to go anyway, especially because he's probably running more than one of him.
Now the thing is, if you're Scott, yes, you lost Luke, you lost the lightsaber, but that's only a drain of drain of 2 there.
It is because he does have a trooper there, so it's not a.
So it's not necessarily like you might want to go back down, try and kick him off the site because it is a drain of 2, but at the same time, like you could also go to Jakku, start draining for 3. You could go to Starkiller's base, start draining for 3, or you could even set yourself up in space.
Yep. He still has plenty of options to pivot. Darkseid has committed. He just dropped 5 characters in a deck that typically runs 16 or 17. So
Scott activates. He's got 13 force in his force pile. And there's Unita, so that's going to get Luke back into his hand.
okay. And the way he forfeited those obviously tells you, I guess he feels either he has the other lightsaber or feels confident about his ability to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just going to go to space with home 1 first.
Set up the home 1, set up Akbar on there. Might see him pull battle plan just so he costs Jeremy some force to drain.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing too now with the finalizer is only a permanent pilot of ability 2. So just putting like PV or Hux aboard, he needs both in order to contest this drain at Kashyyyk.
And that's if he has the finalizer, because like I said, we totally saw that Grimtosh on turn 2.
Sure.
Scott's turn 1. If he got the finalizer and Jeremy has to go fetch it out again, that could slow him up a lot.
Absolutely. He may have to use some of those use pile pulls by deploying guys to, episode 7 sites to even get that back into hand.
Okay, there's Jakku from his hand. So he does not drain.
Wow. Okay.
But he does still have the finalizer, so that's good for him.
And PV are in.
Yeah,
okay.
That's going to flip him.
Now it makes you wonder what did Scott even
Scott
put
hit?
back?
Yeah.
What did he put back with those 5 cards? Was it just like Imperial Command and comm scan detection or Kylo's lightsaber?
And the fact that like Akbar and Home 1 are over at Kashyyyk at this point, like that's not like you're okay with that if you're Jeremy.
Yeah. He's got to pay to drain for 1.
Okay, Lieutenant Dolfeld Mitka going down as well. costing him 0 force.
Mm-hmm. No need to move over here. You're ahead on board position. You're ahead on damage potential. Just take it easy. And again, like we said, moving over does actually hurts you because you don't have enough ability to draw there anyway.
Mm-hmm. And with Scott getting 2 Destiny, I mean, the likelihood of him cracking the Finalizer immunity is kind of strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's only less than 8 currently right now.
Okay, Scott activates 14. Throws Han onto the home 1.
Now, if he does move over, that does actually make a difference. It gives him 2 extra immunity from Peevee's text.
Yes, and I believe, but at the same time, yeah, that would allow Scott to draw more than 1 Destiny there, though.
Yes, that is another thing too. Jakku's text, you do have to have a resistance character because of the system.
And with Jeremy only having a 4-card hand, like, what's the likelihood of him having actually a good card? Luke going down to Jakku. And again, like, you got to feel halfway decent with Jeremy only having a 4-card hand at this point. Like, what does he have?
Right.
But at the same time, like, being that Luke has no immunity, you kind of feel like you want to back him up with something, unless you have some sort of evasion. And the home 1 flies on over to Jakku.
Makes sense. Block the drain. Sure. You got 2 Battle Destiny you're potentially looking at here. Again, 4-card hand. Does he have the command? Does he have any more characters? You know, most likely Jeremy's going to drain for 2 at the farm and then probably just move away and draw some cards.
Yeah, and then you have a drain of 5 for Scott. Like, this is right here is where the game gets really interesting for both players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jeremy activates his 14 force. There we go. We do see the drain at the farm for 2. Scott loses Let the Wookiee Win and General Leia Organa off the top. Scott also saves 2 force. So maybe he does have like a clash in hand or something else.
Could be a variety of interrupts, right? Playing around the first strike, whatever the case may be there. Okay, so we're going to see Snoke go wide. Potentially at least setting him up the option to pull resistance at 3 battlegrounds. Plus getting a use pile search.
Mm-hmm. And like you were just saying, like on top of that, like once Jeremy, if he moves away, it's going to open up Menace Fades. But you've got to think that Scott's going to follow just because you want to get rid of that drain of 2 at Kashyyyk.
Potentially. There's also the possibility, of course, does Scott have a second ship, right?
That's a good point.
Looking at his list, he did play a couple of Leia's resistance transports in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So if he has another ship, Leia, or, I'm sorry, pull Rey and another character and get something going. Yeah.
Jeremy does move over to Kashyyyk with the finalizer, grabs resistance. So instead of a drain of 5 now, he's only going to be taking damage of 4.
Right.
And on the flip side, Jeremy's showing a drain of 5 right now. If Scott was to move the home 1 over, he'd actually lose only 4. So there is some merit to the possibility of moving the home 1 over to Kashyyyk.
It's possible. I think more likely, depending on his hand, obviously Jeremy just drew a bunch of stuff too. We may see Scott go after Snoke.
Could. Like, I almost wouldn't hate Scott going and getting, placing Walkling out of play to retrieve the Leia. Leia is just so good.
He may be playing multiples of, actually, well, Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
don't
is
know.
possible.
It certainly is. Now there's the other card I was looking for. Looking at his list from Atlanta again. I know I'm cheating. But you notice, he's not playing Insurrection, and his opponent didn't start Imperial Arrest Order.
That's a good point.
So you activate, you drain, neighboring Luke over, drop an extra character or two, and
Mm-hmm.
clear Snoke, make him burn the effect. And then you could chase with home one if you wanted to, and now you've just taken out multiple sources of damage and while causing quite a bit to your opponent.
Mm-hmm. So Scott does drain. There goes an Imperial Command and Lieutenant Mitka from hand. Drains for 2 at Jakku. There goes Grand Admiral Thrawn and Force Push V, both off the top of the reserve deck. Thrawn, not necessarily a card you want to see go to the lost pile if you're Jeremy.
Well, it definitely would be a character, and it could certainly help tip the tides
Mm-hmm.
of a space battle here, getting an extra destiny for yourself, and even though home one is also immune to less than 10. It's like same power, same immunity, same number of battle destiny draws.
Yep, the home one has 4 permanent pilots that provide ability of 4. So, I mean, even without a pilot on it, it's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
See Scott go into his deploy phase. He did use his once per game look with the Boss Nash Chamber. Saw that Jeremy got a verify off of that.
Anytime you can get a verify off of any opponent, it's always fun, but when you get it off of one who's known for playing unconventional cards sometimes, that can also be helpful. It might clue you into things like, oh crap, he's running Grimtosh.
Yeah, we did not see. Yeah, that's one thing. Jeremy did not get a verify early, so that Grimtosh might have been a little bit of a surprise to him. Scott into the tank here, saying that he's thinking. Jeremy says no problem. And here we go. Master Qui-Gon Jinn going down in front of Snoke. And we have an Imperial Barrier. Let's see, does Scott have a Canceller? No, he does not. So Qui-Gon is going to be stuck there. Leia's transport down in front of the Finalizer. Going down for 3. Scott's going to get himself a Ray and a use pile pull. I kind of feel like I would have rather have seen the transport go to Jakku.
I mean, he might just be thinking about battling here.
I mean, it's immune to attrition less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would need... Maybe he is thinking about battling, because Jyn Ursa going down when... I think you would rather have put her to the farm.
That's what I was thinking. I'm not sure where this line of play is going from here, because you're right. Jyn to the farm to block that drain at 2, and moving home 1. But I guess if he's thinking about battling, because his opponent doesn't get a destiny there.
Yeah, he does not get a destiny up there, but...
I mean, he's immune to less than 10. Do you honestly think you can cause enough overflow difference here?
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't necessarily like this play.
Now, here's the other thing, too. If he's looking to just suicide Jyn to see what Jeremy has in hand.
Possible?
And initiate a battle, pitch Jyn to the forfeit, and look at what those 9 cards are, and then figure out, okay, who do I need to move and where and what. And...
As we see Scott draw a 1 for total battle destiny.
Ouch, home 1 war room.
Yeah. He'll lose the home 1 war room, and Jeremy with the tentacle for the win. Yeah. As we saw that Jeremy, during the battle, used the tentacle to cause a shuffle. So Jyn does take a look at Jeremy's hand. Okay.
I mean, it's not like Scott didn't shuffle when he pulled Ray, so
Yeah.
it seemed like a wasted tentacle, unless of course you happen to be a GEMP programmer and understand how weird and crazy the shuffle mechanic
Yeah,
can be
that's a good
sometimes
point.
with
Yeah.
GEMP. So
I mean, is Jeremy a GEMP programmer?
yeah, yes.
Oh no. So now you have to think he's going to either move the transport, or he's going to move the home one. He's got to.
Yeah, he will definitely move the home one over.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I did not like any of that from Scott.
It
Like,
was a weird sequence of events there for sure.
yeah, like I like the idea of going down Gin to the farm, block that drain completely, move the
Hmm.
home one over, or
Hmm.
go with the resistance transport to Jakku. Still have, I don't know, like you still have Menace Fades in effect, but at the same time you really don't need it at that point.
I think he's going to put a card with Luke down and then move the transport back to Jakku.
But that doesn't.
I think this is one of those situations where he got a little too clever.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it doesn't really do anything because the drain is still going to be a drain of two at the farm.
Still a drain to two at the farm, but he's now sort of split his forces a little bit and nope. And is sort of blocking out his opponent. Now that's an interesting play.
Yeah, you just saw that Scott put a card back.
And
Like
now
he,
Jeremy's going to play a command.
like we know that Thrawn is in the lost pile, so the only card I can think of is either Grievous or Hux. Hux makes a
Hmm.
lot more sense, but at the same time, where are you going to put Hux? Like, you want to put him on the finalizer, but then you don't get a bout of the first order pool.
Right.
So this has just turned into a very weird game.
It's definitely some unconventional lines of play being taken here for
Now
sure.
you
But
could put Hux down in front of Luke because, like we've said, Luke has no immunity to attrition.
mhm. Even if you don't battle Luke, you still deploy him there, pick up a card, move the finalizer over, and then just shuttle him
Throw
up.
him up, yeah.
Live to fight another day.
So Jeremy with 9 cards in hand activates his 15. Again, we're going to see there's a drain of 2 at the farm.
Resilience and a projection go off the top. Okay.
Not necessarily like 2 cards I don't like hate losing. Like the resilience would have been really good. As we see Jeremy use no escape to go get himself his force push. So that will allow him to either A, like go get a card out of his force pile, or B, survive out of a battle. Nope, he is going to use it to exchange 2 cards with his hand. And there's another sense from Scott.
You know what's really awkward is when your opponent plays a sense
And
and
you don't have on a once
you
per game action.
well, not even just that. It's when your opponent plays a sense and you don't pull a shield, there is
Yeah,
no tri shield to cause force loss.
yeah, that's a good point. And now Jeremy cannot use force push at all the rest of the game, even if he gets it back.
Definitely a well-timed sense for sure. But whether that's the original sense that he got back to already or he's playing multiple senses, he had to burn a grabber on it now
Yeah.
and potentially, not
I mean,
losing
Jeremy
extra
still has
cards.
the one grabber. He's got his defensive shield grabber, so that's not bad. And the fact that Scott has used sense now twice and utilize them at really kind of key moments. Like, I don't hate using your tentacle grabber on it because you don't use any force.
Oh, definitely don't want to get sensed again a third time
No.
for sure.
There's the set fast going down to the Starkiller base. So, yeah, now that's a drain of 2, essentially, for Jeremy. Okay, Huck's going down to the Starkiller Forest.
Assuming we're going to see Snoke move away at this point.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And then you got to think that the Finalizer is going to move away as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Finalizer, I mean, you can't move the Finalizer to Starkiller base.
No.
One, it doesn't have the hyperspeed, and 2, you don't necessarily want to do that because then you turn off the Steadfast's game text.
That's true. It does have to be alone.
Jeremy still has 5 cards in his force pile. And he is still... Okay, so he did decide on what card he wants to take out of his use pile. Yeah, I think moving Snoke is the right idea here, unless he's got like some sort of other character to back up Hux.
Or a Stunning Leader or some other type of evasion.
Well, Stunning Leader really doesn't do anything at the forest.
Well, no, not for Hux, you're right, but for Snoke,
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, you can't leave Hux by himself at the forest unless, of course, you have a Gick. Well, I mean, you do have the effect Gick, so you could.
Yeah, it's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Why burn that unnecessarily if you don't have to?
Now, the thing is, though, this is going to set up a drain of total of 5 for Scott. Yep, as Hux, or I'm sorry, Snoke does move over. Finalizer also moves over.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he is threatening a drain of 5, but on the flip side of that, Jeremy has now put himself in a position where he's threatening some pretty big drains himself.
Yeah, he's threatening 6.
I count 7, because the finalizer adds 1.
Menace fades.
If it stays in effect, that's true. You're right.
And you got to think that Menace phase is going to stay in effect because, like, outside of the command shuttle, what does Jeremy have for space?
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. I think
we see there goes Scott, use 3, go get effect with Walkling.
I don't think it's going to matter. I think the home one's going to continue to chase the finalizer. I think the Leia's transport is going to stay at Kashyyyk.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he just fish out? Launching the assault to add an additional 1 to the drain. Okay.
I mean, it's not going to really do anything. Jeremy has menace or resistance in effect. You have to take off the finalizer, and you have to remove 2 of those stacks essentially.
Right. If he decides not to move and wants to put it on Kashyyyk and up his damage output by 1 additional,
that's actually not a bad idea.
That's at least a possibility there, and be like, you know what? I'm content. I'll just stay here and drain you for 6, and you do what you're going to do and drain me for 6, and I'm ahead on life force, so let's go.
And that's the one thing, like Scott, even though the drains are in Jeremy's favor a little bit right now, Scott is ahead on life force just because Jeremy's putting out a lot of cards so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're talking right now, for those who can't see the numbers at home, it's 24-14 in terms of reserve decks, and they both had 9 cards in their hand until Scott just deployed launching the assault. So with a 10-card lead and you're both doing the same damage output, you could just take that to the bank and let it ride.
As we see, Scott does put Walkling out of play, so that he is going to retrieve a projection of Skywalker. That would be a good card to throw on, say, like the farm. As he throws down Chewbacca with Bowcaster.
Well, he just retrieved that projection now, didn't he?
He did. And he could put the projection out just to save himself. Like, we could probably see him initiate here just to get some of the characters off the ground, but I don't necessarily like that.
I would suspect the projection's going to go where Snoke is.
Oh, nope. So this tells me that Scott has a Hujix in his hand.
It's another weird line of events here. It's like you wouldn't need to put the projection unless he's going to neighbor and Chewie away or something.
That could be a good play. Like, do it after the deploy phase. Like, just just don't battle. Do it after Jeremy's control phase. Move Chewie over to Luke's location.
Yep, he blocks the drain for a turn.
But the thing is, like, he needs to stop drawing cards if that's the case.
Then I think it's just a matter of he's got the Hujix in his hand and he's just going to play that.
I still think he needs to stop drawing cards, though. Or do Luke and put a card back, so that way, one, he saves the possibility of the clash that he has in his hands, and I'm assuming that he has in his hand, and two, if Jeremy does have first strike, comes down with the first strike, you can still play your Hojiks.
Yep, he left himself 3 force there, plenty of opportunities. A clash would of course be huge if you can, clash Snoke and battle into a battle with Hux or whatnot.
At the same time, though, like we've been saying, Luke has no immunity, so you kind of want to keep Luke on the table, especially when you're doing a drain of 2 there.
Mm-hmm.
As we see, Jeremy activates 11, saving himself 2 force in his reserve deck. Scott plays Ultimatum. Yeah, it's not a bad idea because, well,
it's only a drain of 2.
It's only a drain of 2 up at the circular base. Yeah, don't necessarily like that. But there is a reason why we're sitting at home doing commentary and Scott's currently playing in the top 8.
Well, yeah, because he and I didn't play each other.
We see the Dratus 2 at the circular base.
Right. I mean, Ultimatum's not doing anything here because
no, it isn't.
It was limited to 2. And the other drains are all blocked off.
There goes a Rebel Leadership combo and Scanner text off the top.
Rebel Leadership combo?
I think the Leadership combo is in case, like, if somebody's playing Kashyyyk, he can put
Raise
his
is converted?
Back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is definitely a couple of top 8s here. And he was at Worlds, wasn't he in a play-in game for top 8?
Yes.
So he's on a good roll here. So no disrespect, man. Just having a little fun.
No. Possible Player of the Year, Scott Lingrell.
Yeah, Chewie's obviously going to get Hojiks. Chewie doesn't get a Battle Destiny if lights it, unless he's hit. So
correct. Yeah.
He could shoot one person and then take the
overflow.
overflow.
That's the thing, though. He's not going to shoot anybody.
No, I mean, Chewie can shoot at somebody.
Well, I know the, let's see, which FN droid. So, yeah, he can actually, yeah, you're right. Because Nines can't do anything there. Okay, Kylo Ren, Master of the Knights of Ren, comes down. There's a Rebel Barrier on him. Scott, again, only 1 card left in his force pile.
And the barrier does go lost because of Tentacle.
Mm-hmm. But if you're Scott, you're 100% fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one issue with that Kylo. He's not white border.
Yeah, I mean, the new Kylo's interesting for sure. There are certainly situations where I feel like he's the better version to play. Then there's other times where you're like, man, I'd really like to have that additional force loss right now for winning these battles.
Yeah, and turning off honor.
Now that's a card we haven't seen in a long time either.
I mean, Scott plays it in his Mind What You Have Learned.
Mm-hmm.
Aim high coming out. Actually, funny enough, that Kylo can be white bordered. Get a foil top 8 AI and you won't care about what border it is. Yes, I will. And how will I ever get a foil AI top 8 one?
He's gonna trade for it.
Yeah, that's the only way I would get it. Like I would need Brian Fred to win it and then trade it to me.
All of these foils are certainly tradable, and I think a lot of people forget that. And they're like, "Oh, I don't have these," and it's like there's probably a lot of people out there who either have multiples or who don't necessarily prioritize foils, like myself, who have a pile of them that they would happily be interested in swapping with people.
Okay, so Chewie is battled. Chewie does shoot Captain Phasma, draws a 5 and a 6, so she's going to be hit.
And we see the 5 he drew was Harvest.
card not a lot of people play anymore.
Nope. But if you're playing a farm, right, and you're
Yeah,
playing an Owen and Baru combo.
Mm-hmm. So Phasma is hit, forfeit 0. I don't think that's going to come into play here.
No. You don't swing back. You just draw Battle Destiny.
As Jeremy draws a 5.
He gets 2, so yeah, draw them both, right? It's going to be basically he swapped Phasma for Chewy.
Yeah, Chewy and a Hojix. Like, you got to think Scott has the Hojix here. I highly doubt he made this play unless he does. Like, you're down 17. Chewy covers a little bit.
Yeah, if he made this play and didn't have a Hujix, I'd probably be calling his wife and saying, "Take your husband to the hospital," because I think he had an aneurysm.
So Phasma will retrieve 2003. Chewy goes Lost Pile. He's got 11 overflow, and there's the Hujix.
Mm. God, I thought I could dodge away. Like, what? What?
Okay, I do expect to see the finalizer move. Might see Hux and Snoke move as well.
Yeah, I don't think.
Because, I mean, Kylo can't.
You've got resistance out. Finalizer moving, okay. You're still going to eat the drain of 2 at Jakku. Yeah. That's okay. No, he is going to move Snoke.
That's the thing. Like, if the finalizer moves here, Scott's still going to have Menace Fates in play. And the thing is, like, you want Kylo to be alone because then you get to do all of his cool stuff where he pulls an effect or interrupt once per game. He has higher immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Steadfast moves over. Interesting.
Now, that was the other possibility that I was thinking if he was going to move Hux up and Steadfast over, or just the Steadfast over, giving up his own drain of 2 to eventually just, threaten more.
But he's only got 1. He's only getting 1 Destiny up there. Like, if he's got an Imperial Command, yeah, that's really good. Scott can easily just use Solo to play Rebel Leadership Lost, and then get a 3rd Destiny, and that could be really bad for Jeremy. Like, I definitely think, like, personally, the play was to leave the Steadfast there. You're draining a drain of 2. Just move over to Kashyyyk.
Well, he does have
that's
enough.
right. Yeah,
command is grabbed.
Thank you, Scott. Or thank you, Chris. I'm sorry, this Hall of Famer, Chris Schoenthal, everybody.
Now, Jeremy is behind in this game, so of course he's thinking he can't just continue to keep eating drains.
That's a good point.
Luke's draining for 2 over there, and if he moves away from home 1, he's eating, 2 more, and if he's trying to just minimize the force loss, maybe he's afraid, Scott may not want to battle him. He's down 7 in power, which isn't, a whole lot, especially if you're getting multiple destinies.
Yeah. Okay, so we see drain of 1 at Kashyyyk. There goes the force push. There goes Kylo Ren, Master of Knights of Ren, and Lieutenant Mitka, both off the top. So losing Mitka, not necessarily really good because he is his Destiny 6. Yeah, I think this is the turn where I think Scott can really cement himself from winning this game.
He's ahead, right now life force counts are 19 to 10 with what they have down. They both have about the same number of cards in hand still, so. If Jeremy's goal was to get Scott to move the transport over and not battle and kind of give up Menace Fades and things like that, I don't know that that's necessary. Oh, wow. BB-8. Okay.
Forfeit fodder.
Sure. Does he actually have any? Nope. Only at a battleground site does his text work. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of with BB-8 is he's forfeit fodder. Like, you're probably going to move Qui-Gon over in front of Snoke. Okay, Scott checks out his destiny. Jeremy gets a verify. I'd love to see what those destinies are. I think one of those is a 5.
If he's got multiple 5s in there, I think you battle, use,
Oh
like you
yeah,
said, use solo and at
command.
least, yeah, at least clear steadfast. It's only immune to less than 4.
Well, you probably clear the steadfast and PV. Yep, we have a battle.
Mm-hmm.
There's a leadership from hand.
There you go. Doesn't even need to use Solo's text here.
Yeah.
Probably just want to go ahead and grab that at this point, just to take a card away from your opponent.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, he could use Solo's game text to play. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's not playing heading for the medical frigate. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else in his reserve or his lost pile that you really want to play. Maybe the Hujiks. But I do think Jeremy is thinking about grabbing that leadership here.
Nope, he doesn't grab it.
Go to Destiny, draws a 3 for the first one. Ooh, draws a 6.
I think we're getting the finalizer here. Steadfast might be the only ship he's got left after this battle.
Yeah.
Close call? Nope.
And a 5. So that's 14 right now. So yeah, that's PV and the finalizer.
Yeah, because PV and Steadfast only cover 13, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to lose finalizer here, and then Steadfast has to play a running
Runaway.
around game. Yeah,
Yeah.
Steadfast will move back and forth between Starkiller Base and Jakku for a turn or two and keep him at least not having to pay to drain to whittle down some damage.
Yeah. I'm wondering what the players. Is it on Jeremy at this point? Yeah, it's still on Jeremy.
It was Jeremy's action if he wanted to do it. I don't know if he has anything, if he had something like a dark time to modify that destiny or something. Or
Yeah. Scott might actually win this battle too. So we see Jeremy draw a 4. So yeah, Scott's fully immune. He wins the battle. And he knocks the finalizer and PV out of space. That's that's really big.
Yep, solid play.
And on top of that, Menace Phase is still in effect. Like, he's got. Jeremy's only going to do 2 points of damage to Scott this turn.
Yep. Now we just got to see what Qui-Gon decides to do.
Oh, Qui-Gon's going to get the heck out of Dodge. Like, you got to think he's going to move over in front of Snoke. I mean, yes, he still has the Hujiks in his hand, but there's no, like, I'm sorry, the Hujiks is in his lost pile. There's no reason not to move Qui-Gon.
Yeah. I didn't know if he had any other tricks left, if he was going to battle and, try and take out Kylo and beat up on Hux or whatever like that. But nope, he's just going to move away and draw 2 or 3 cards.
Yep, Scott does shuttle down BB-8. He also moves Qui-Gon over. Jeremy plays Dark Time for Rebellion to cancel the projection of Skywalker.
Okay.
That's a good play. That's going to get him a little bit more damage. So now he's going to be doing 3 instead of 2. But at the same time, Jeremy's still at 11 force in his life force. Scott currently sitting at 18.
Scott forgetting the second part of the text says, if opponent does not occupy a battleground site, cancel projection of a Skywalker, or if Menace fades on table.
Yeah.
So because he has the Menace fades, he can just cancel that projection and move on.
Yep.
And he did put a 5 back.
Yes, he did.
Where he can easily activate to it. Activate 8, draw 5.
Kill Luke. And if he gets rid of Luke, I believe that would flip Jeremy back.
It would flip him back, and BB-8 does only forfeit for 4.
Jeremy currently has an 8-card hand. He's going to activate up to 11. He does save 3 in his reserve deck.
Okay. So he's got something 5/4.
Scott goes get 3 out of his deck. Probably going to use 3PO as a force loss here.
Probably not anything you necessarily need him for on turn 8. Kind of want 3PO to show up a little sooner than that.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing is it's putting a 5 into the deck, taking a 3 out of the deck.
Sure.
There goes Jeremy's trying to drain for 2 at the forest, but Scott's going to lose shocking information and Grimtosh. That Grimtosh did do what it needed to earlier in the game, turn 2.
It did, and interesting to see him playing the combo version and not the pullable version with the escape pod.
And it could be worse to reduce the drain down to 0. Jeremy grabs the it could be worse, but that's all that he can do with that drain.
Well, it's kind of a 2-for-1 trade in that situation then, I guess.
Yeah. So really quick, while we're in Jeremy's control phase, let's go ahead and do our trivia question. For a MWYHL AI, I believe this is the full the faux full image slip that is you can see on GEMP. Who the first person in chat who is currently not streaming, first person in the chat to say who won the first 2 Jawa Cups. I'll give you a hint. 2019 and 2021. If you can name the first 2 winners of the first 2 Jawa Cups, you will win yourself a MWYHL AI.
Some people are going to have to go start
Digging
Googling that on the website real fast. I don't know the answer to this question. I'd have to go look it up.
To be honest, I wouldn't have known if Jared did not tell me.
Okay.
So we see P59 come down. So, okay.
Okay, so there you go. That explains why he left what he did. He's going to shoot BB-8, cause 2 force loss, and then draw the 5 for Battle Destiny and hopefully clear Luke out of there.
Unless Luke has some sort of trick, like if you hit the P59, use your sorry about the mess, kill the P59. Like you just want to keep Luke on the table as much as you can if you're Scott.
Right. Now the other thing to think, he's going to play the barrier from the lost pile.
That's really smart.
With Solo,
Yep.
there you go.
Yes.
Now that's actually kind of okay because I mean, unless Jeremy had a Gick in his hand, he was going to take a lot of damage from initiating that battle.
Yeah, that's true.
Now Scott's going to battle into him.
And then you have the effect up there.
Right.
Okay, so Supreme Leader Snoke fights into Supreme Leader Scott. It is going to cause a point of ping damage. Show it all. If nobody else is going to answer, I'll do it. JJD and Ryan Jelson. You are correct. Who won it first time? Just for brownie points. As Qui-Gon swings at Snoke, draws a 6 for Battle Destiny. Believe? Nope. It was actually JJD who won it the first time. Yep. Jared Konsker was in 2019, Ryan Jelson in 2021. So, Chris Schoenthal has answered the question correctly. He has decided, I'm going to give it to James Martin. And there's a close call. Yeah.
James Martin was in there first, according to the chat.
Oh.
So he won anyway.
Yeah, he won double time.
But Qui-Gon swung and missed because of the close call, subtracting 3. And now we'll get some Battle Destiny draws here. It's again a Gleamort, which was just a 3, and then a 4. Snoke is immune to less than 8. So
Snoke's going to stick around, but
he could if Jeremy wants to peel 4 cards.
Yeah, that's not necessarily what you might want to do here, being that you're down so much.
Right. At this point, he's just trying to save some diff and whatnot. So And with Menace Fades out, it doesn't necessarily make sense to move those guys over.
Mm-mm.
So I think you just move
Move the
Steadfast.
Steadfast over to Starkiller base and maybe move Hux up. And then I think Scott's going to attempt to get another character down with Luke and then battle into the P-59.
Yep. We do know it's the 5 on now. It's 5-4 are the two
Mm.
destinies, so they're reversed. So it would be bad for Jeremy because the 5 would be the. How are you hyperspeed +1? He's not.
Jakku.
It's 4-1.
Yeah.
I think he thinks Starkiller Base is at 0,
Yeah.
but Starkiller Base is actually at Parsec 1.
And Scott reasons it out. Okay, there we go, Scott.
Math not his strong side.
No.
Or strong suit sometimes.
I hear driving is, though.
Fantastic. Longer the car ride, the better he is.
And just as a reminder, later on this evening, we're going to have Johnny Chu versus David Woods, Game 2. That's going to happen at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then tomorrow, either at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Scott versus Jeremy, Game 2. That one should be exciting.
Yeah, unfortunately, tonight's game not going to go. Let's just say David Woods is in a big hole. I think he's down, what, 24, 25?
Something like that, yeah.
He unfortunately forgot First Strike was out and played an Antilles maneuver during a battle, which used his existing force instead of playing it before the battle. So then he didn't have the force remaining for the Hujiks,
Which unfortunately he did have in his hand. So
yeah, and he got overflowed for like 9 or 10 cards in that battle. So
yeah, here we go with Scott's turns. Again, Scott is going to be doing 3 points of damage this turn.
Jeremy's done a decent enough job, though, at least chewing down that differential. Like whichever player does win this game, it should be a single-digit win at this point.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, like, Jeremy right now has turned off Menace Fades.
Also true.
Like, you have to think that the P-59 is going to go lost here at some point.
Yeah.
Like, if Scott has a sorry about the mess combo, that's where you use it right here in the control phase. See a drain of 3 at Jakku. It becomes a drain of 2 with resistance. There goes FN 2003 and Imp Command, both from hand. And there goes a Rebel Barrier as well from Jeremy's hand.
So looking at life force counts, Jeremy has 11 down, 3 in hand. There's the sorry about the mess.
Sorry about the mess.
Now, did he just draw that with Ray?
I don't know, but yeah, we did see him draw a card with Ray and place a sorry. There's 6. So yeah, P-59 is going to go lost, and then Scott's going to be able to drain again.
Yep. And he still has the 3 battlegrounds either way, so it's not like he messed up the order there.
And Scott plays Wisa to subtract 1 from his own destiny, but he still hits P-59.
He's just trying to cycle some cards back in case Jeremy wants to draw up.
That's just insult to injury right there, though.
Trying to boost his differential as much as possible.
Yeah.
Probably drop a card with Luke here, too. On 1 will continue to chase Steadfast. We may actually see Leia's transport move to Jakku to kind of box him in.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Now, he did save 2 force in his reserve deck. I don't know if that was because he was tracking some Destiny to make sure he hits the P-59 or what, but... And nope, he throws down 3PO to the home 1. Interesting.
The way this played out, I don't think he had the sorry about the mess, and I think he was thinking a different line of events here where I'm going to need to battle, I need to swing, I need to draw Destiny. If he's got a close call to redraw it, I want to make sure it goes through.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, sorry about the mess. Well, never mind. I don't need to do any of that anymore.
I could see that 100% with Scott.
Hmm.
Obi-Wan going down to the Starkiller Base shield control site.
Try and turn that damage potential up a little bit, and
And he'll still keep Menace Fades in effect. So now he's only got 2 force left in his reserve, or in his force pile, though.
but he
Yep.
does realize that home one can make the jump to follow Steadfast, which is
Yep,
nice.
he did the math.
I would move Ray's transport here. He's going to put a card back, okay, from hand.
Yeah, he might just put the card back, move Ray over.
I definitely would. Yep.
And that's what Scott does.
Because even if you don't end up battling or anything like that, you're still putting your opponent in a position where they have to think, if they run away, what else are you coming back with? Is it, is there another Lando? Is there, other characters, Anakin or somebody who is going to give them more power and destiny, or, yeah.
As Jeremy does activate 9, I mean, at this point, you potentially could see him just draw up. Like, I don't think he would. Like,
I would be surprised. He can still get 1 or 2 more turns of draining in.
Yeah, Scott loses a 5 from. He loses We're Looking for Me from his hand, and he'll drain for 2 at the Lars Moisture Farm.
Mm.
And there goes We Still Got a Grand Army and Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight as he loses them off the top of his deck, so he's down to 13 in life force at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Legion General Pride throws down onto the Steadfast. Okay. I believe that does add another Destiny up there.
It does with the Resistance character. Pride does add 1, so.
Scott putting some cards back. He throws down We Still Got a Grand Army.
He lost 2 cards off the top of his reserve deck to then play a used interrupt to cycle it back.
Yeah.
I mean, you're moving cards around. Obviously, you're putting good destiny where you can find it, especially because he 3PO'd before it, so.
As the Steadfast flies back over to Jakku. Might see Kylo move over in front of Obi-Wan. Yep, we do see that.
Yeah, he's just going to try and mitigate and survive as long as he can and keep getting that Lars Moisture Farm drain in for as many turns as he can, and make Scott continue to put stuff on the table as well, or continue to draw cards.
Yeah.
To try and get this number under 10.
So he is going to do 4 points of damage here. Now, if Scott has like a blaster deflection in his hand, I wouldn't mind actually battling with Obi-Wan. Just to get Jeremy off of Ultimatum or of Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Scott 3POing some cards back.
Especially if you know kind of where your destiny's at and what you're going to be drawing here.
And he'll just activate everything. Okay.
Interesting.
Drains for 2 at the Starkiller Base. Jeremy's going to lose from his hand. He loses a Sneak Attack and Spectre of the Supreme Leader. Drains for 2 at the Jakku Village. Now, we could see him put PB-8 down back as well in the move phase. Like, he's not really doing a lot. Like, I would actually consider moving Rey down to with Luke. And just, at this point, like, until we see Jeremy lose the command shuttle, like, it's not really doing, like, you don't necessarily want to lose the shuttle, or the transport, but what does Jeremy really have in terms of other characters and stuff?
I mean, at this point, he's got 6 force left down and 1 card in hand. If you're Scott, you probably just flip the 2 ships, move Leia's Resistance transport over to Starkiller Base, move home 1 back in front.
But then you don't satisfy for Resistance or for Menace Fades.
Yeah, but if you leave Obi in front of Kylo, the only place he's draining is for 2.
True.
At the farm anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, you're not losing the additional force. I mean, if Kylo's lightsaber hits, I think you still lose 1. Yeah. They both lose 1, so.
Owen and Baru go down to the village.
Okay.
Okay. I feel like they would have been served better as a force loss, though.
I mean, I guess he's just going to move them over to the other site to up the damage output.
Yeah, I still want to see BB-8. Well, maybe. Like the thing is, though, Jeremy could have Ellis, so
Again, he's only got 6 cards left face down.
yeah. I mean, he's only got one card in hand at this point,
Mm-hmm.
so I see what you're saying, but I don't know if you want to just. I don't know, like what's the point of risking it?
No, he'll play it a little safer. You know, he put the BB-8 back like you suggested earlier. You know, he'll
But
lose a
now
couple
he has
cards
to
here,
move.
and
Now he has to move Ray over to Kashyyyk to keep medicine effect, or else he's taking a drain of. Well, he's got resistance, or he's got ultimatum out. Yes, but
yeah.
why up it to 2 when you're only taking a drain of 1 at the Starkiller base site? Like there was no point.
No, he'll shift over there.
Yeah.
He'll lose 2 and 1, which will be the 3 cards in his hand most likely, and then
We'll see.
and then obviously Jeremy can shuffle some people around again.
Because Jeremy activates everything but 1. Interesting.
Can he use from here? Nope, he can't even use Mitaka to move. I was trying to think, like, is there anything he can do to finagle some people around, but nope.
Which tells me he's got some sort of other character in his hand. I mean, yep, there goes Yoda, Master of the Force.
Deploy somebody and just kill Owen and Baru.
Maybe. I think the play is to maybe go for Luke.
Well, I mean, if he only has 1 card in his hand, he can't take any overflow. Overflow ends the game.
As he drains for 2 at the Moisture Farm, Scott loses from his deck.
Okay, I guess he really.
I guess he really likes those 2 cards in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy checks out and sees what the card in his reserve deck is.
And there's always a possibility if Jeremy did start drawing or something like that, he could cycle a card with 3PO to try and find something that's used to then get one of those force back. And if we get to Scott's turn, he can always drop a card with, like my father, and before draining.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like Jeremy's not going to be able to draw up here.
Nope.
Arsing with blaster rifle. Okay. I mean, with Obi-Wan still on the table. Okay, so he moves in front of Obi-Wan. Okay.
It's just blocking as much damage as he can to try and see if he can get one more turn of force drain in over at the farm.
Yep, and the steadfast moves over. So, I mean, Scott's going to do 3 points of damage before any of the fights or anything. That's going to bring Jeremy down to 3. I mean, you almost got to think that Scott's going to win this by. Actually, maybe not.
Well, he's got the effect in play, so
he's got the effect in play, Chris. So it's not necessarily he's going to get overflowed at the village.
Yeah, he still has the effect. So
yeah, drains for 2 at Jakku. There goes 2 cards out of his deck.
There goes the shuttle and the turn it off. And
yeah. I think what you do is you initiate with Luke, get rid of the Arsing, move Owen and Baru over, swap the 2 ships, and then lose the 2 cards from your hand.
Or just play Neighbor.
Or just play this.
He's going to Neighbor to move Obi to the adjacent site.
Drains for 2.
And drain for 2 more.
Well, you were
Neighbor.
wondering if he was playing it.
Yeah. Now Neighboring just went lost. Why is Neighboring lost? Oh, no escape. It's the no escape V.
Yeah.
So he takes him down to 1 force loss here, and then
Scott cycles the 1 card back. Yeah, I don't see anything else that Scott can really do. I mean, Jeremy's going to be able to drain for 3 on his next turn.
yeah, that's the thing. Well, the Neighboring got you 2 more force loss. It's like
Yeah.
you don't have 2 places to battle your
Or
opponent.
he moves the home ones to Star's Killer Base, and then shuttles Akbar and Solo down. Blocks that drain of 1. I mean, heck, he could just move Solo down, block the drain. Doesn't have to do anything with Akbar.
You can also just move Obi back, because Neighboring isn't a move, so.
That's true.
But there's no way for him to get rid of that last force.
Yeah.
So he does still get hit for the drain of 2. Like, even if he battles with Ray and the transport at the other site, he's not going to clear the steadfast or anything, so.
Nope. There's 4. Yep, he doesn't draw Destiny. He's just going to lose Luke here. And what's even worse is it's going to flip Jeremy back.
It does flip his objective.
Yeah.
Not that there's really anything going on at this point in the game that's going to matter. I guess, hey, stack a card. Take a card out of your lost pile, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yes, that's actually a really good idea. I mean, he should be able to do it on Scott's turn and his turn, so he should be 35 at the end in lost pile.
He can get to 34 because he can activate that last force, drain for 2, and then draw it.
Yeah, that's true.
And he'll lose by 11.
Yep. As Obi does move back over. There's no real point to moving Owen and Baru.
I mean, other than the
Ray,
fact that
Ray's going to cover you up at Kashyyyk, so there's no point to doing that. So yeah.
Right. He can't draw any Destiny anywhere. He can spend the 1/2 battle, but that's it.
Yeah.
So there's no point in doing any of that. I mean, yes, he could stack cards.
Scott's going to win by 11.
Well, he can only stack during his own turn. There you go.
That's right. You can play it on each other's turn.
Right. So he can only take 1 card off there. Okay, so that's makes sense there. Get 1 more card out of the lost pile.
Yeah. Close call.
You know, that's not a terrible idea because he can activate that 1 force battle with Kylo. Yeah. Battle with Kylo against Obi, and then subtract 3 from his Destiny with the close call.
Make Kylo go, or make Obi go lost.
There you go.
I don't hate it.
Now, because overflow in space, you're not going to get there because there's 12 forfeit.
Yeah. And that's what he's going to do. I love it.
You battle Obi.
Yeah. Why
total
not?
power. Your total power is +3 because he's alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Kylo's kind of big.
You don't get a battle Destiny. I mean, he does, but.
Yeah. But then you subtract 3. I mean, Kylo's going to be hit. No, he's just going to close call. So Kylo's still going to be hit, though.
Yeah. I don't know that it would have made much of a difference anyway, unless he happens to draw a character here. But even then, Obi still covers it.
I mean, he's still... Yeah.
Scott's not going to draw.
does he get appeal?
Scott's not going to draw Battle Destiny. He can just lose Obi.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still 11. I don't know if there's any possible way he thinks he can get something else to do.
Yeah.
He already used solo. I mean, you're not going to draw a card with Ray here looking for,
Yeah.
I don't know, what you would possibly be looking for at this point.
Okay, if he can neighboring leads, I was gonna say if he neighboring leads, own a brute over, plays harvest, retrieves 4, and then drains out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like they're asking if we're gonna have time to play the next one today.
I'm just gonna put that in the chat since.
Uh-oh. So Scott does win by 11. So Jeremy's asking about playing right now. We might have 2 games going on, people.
Okay.
So plus 11, and he had 28 and lost to 38. So we're going to see if they're going to play right now. So they might not be playing tomorrow night.
So I guess we're going to be hanging on here for a second.
Jeremy might just want to get it over with at this point.
Scott's got to go check with the missus, see what he's got planned for the afternoon.
Yeah,
he said he'll
go
be back.
Check with the boss.
He'll be back in about 5 minutes, so we'll go hang out in the old Gemp lobby for a minute. Do we have anything else we can give away or do a trivia or something for?
We can always give away stuff. Gemp AI packs. So if you want to go ahead and give us a trivia question.
A trivia question, you say?
Yeah.
That is a fantastic question.
So let's bounce out into the main room. Just as a quick reminder to everybody, Jared Napolitano has released information on the 2024 Region Hollow Sticker Challenge. If you're interested in participating about that, go ahead and go visit the YouTubes and watch an 11-minute video from Jared explaining what this is all about. Go ahead and get yourself collect some stickers based on each of the regions at league events, regional events, majors, state European events. All the stickers will not be exclusive to the region that they are in, so you'll have to go to Hoth to get the Hoth sticker. You can trade them. If you want to download the sheet, you can do that. We have a PDF on the link. The sheets will be given out in the league and region kits, so you don't have to print them out yourself. They do come in as an 11 by 17 poster. So more information about that can be found on the forums. And then just checking up on the Gemp PC bracket.
Still lots of rounds left to go.
Still a lot of rounds.
128 players. I mean, it's 7 or 8 rounds total. Yeah.
And it does look like Scott and Jeremy are going to finish up their match right now. Just as a quick recap, Joe Olsen and Ed Sheehan both advance to the round of 32. Kuhn defeats Justin Carulli to advance. Moving on down the line, Timo Dussel will face off against Dennis Reinhardt. Bill Kafer advances over Mike Turner. Scott Lingrell defeats Matt Wadden. Ryan Saracen takes down Justin Miyashiro. And that's all we got right now out of the matches that have finished. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the forums, Twitch, Slack, all the other fun stuff to see how the Gem PC is going for everybody.
And as far as a trivia question, since we mentioned earlier, we've used the phrase Hall of Famer several times. How many people are currently in the Players Committee Hall of Fame?
Ooh, I know. Oh, wait, I can't wait. Let's see, there's Garrett Larson says 15. Sean Lux says 16. And unlike Price is Right, you have to be 100% correct with this answer.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any guesses?
Do I hear 17? No, Garrett, you are not in the Hall of Fame just yet.
As far as I can tell, neither of those answers is correct.
Right.
Living for Games throwing a 14 in the chat. To the best of my ability here, looking on the site, 14 does appear to be the correct answer.
And you know what? I will agree with this. So, Living for Games, if you can just let me know who you are, we'll make sure you get a GIMP AI pack. As we wait for Jeremy DiPaolo. Jeremy has posted his game, so we're currently just waiting on Supreme Leader Scott Lingrell. So, Loco Lobo.
Okay.
Okay. I'll tell our illustrious marketing. So you should be getting your pack here at some point, as we just told Jared.
Congratulations
On Scott to come in. Let's see what else is going on right now. We have an OCS game, Paul Myers versus Zeke, Hitco versus Map. Outside of that, got some open games going on. Know a lot of the Gem PC games should be wrapping up soon. Well, at least to get to the round of 32. Looks like Scott is not in the Gem chat.
He just said, give me 5 minutes, and that was 3 minutes ago, so.
Well.
Got to go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, that kind of stuff.
Go tell the wife you're going to be sitting in front of the computer for another hour.
Well, that's what he already had to do before he came back and said, yes, we can play, give me 5 minutes. the first time was going to confirm with her, like, hey, we're not doing anything with the kids, right? Like, I can, okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're not going to need me for the next 60 to 90 minutes? Okay.
I mean, theoretically, you could almost assume, like, based on if Scott is playing his fun musician decks, will this take 60 to 90 minutes?
It might, because Jeremy might have to read like 15 cards to know what all their decks do, and that could slow the pace of play down a little bit.
That is true. That is very true.
I would assume he's already read a bunch of those ahead of time in advance.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're playing Scott, you got to get ready for it. And here we go, Game 2, Scott versus Jeremy. Who's going to win to advance to the top 4? Mind what you have learned versus Port. Oh my gosh, this is great.
It's the Jawa Cup, right?
It is the Jawa Cup. This is Scott versus. You could almost say this is Scott versus what is it? Team Jedi Test or Team Tested?
Yeah.
So I think Scott, if anybody, would know how to play against Mind What You Have Learned.
I mean, that's the hard part with the musician's deck is it doesn't do a lot of damage output on its own, right? Like the objective does one, and then he's kind of relying on doing some drains.
Mm-hmm.
But if Great Warrior cancels all the drain bonuses,
Yeah.
he's doing 3 damage a turn.
But then you got to like think about it. Like the musician deck itself is a beatdown deck.
Right. And that's going to depend on what Jeremy's platform is. Where's he going to do direct damage? Has he just got like Kifix and a bunch of, ships, or
Yeah. Okay, Scott going with Power of the Hut, Jabba's Haven, and Crush the Rebellion. Jeremy, Cytor Cal Fast, Walkling,
all right, not looking space heavy so far.
and The Way of Things. So here we go. Game 2, Jeremy versus Scott. Who will advance to the top 4? Again, Scott Lingrell took game 1 by 11.
Mm-hmm. It's a close differential for either player, not really a whole lot to, have to force the issue early. It's not like you lost by 21 and you're like, well, if I get too far behind, this game's just over.
And so this is game 4 out of our now 5 games of streaming today.
Bonus coverage.
Yeah, was not expecting to see this game being played, but here we go. Scott activates. Jeremy pulls his grabber shield. Probably going to see Jeremy go with a secret plans, or I'm sorry, aim high as well.
At some point in time, it'll definitely hit the table. Typically, players usually wait until Scum actually is deployed, just in case, there's some type of weird fake out version going on.
And there's an aim high.
Jeremy's not even going to take a chance that he's going to forget to play it somehow, or
Yeah.
just go ahead and get that on the table.
I hear that's a good card to have on the table if you're playing against a dark side deck that retrieves a lot.
It does come in handy.
As Jeremy's going to utilize Dagobah V to go get himself his Jedi test. There's Great Warrior.
Yeah, which I've learned is always one of those interesting decks where, it puts a bunch on the table and it doesn't necessarily always do a whole lot by itself.
Mm-hmm.
If it can survive the early turns and not fall too far behind, it becomes a very resilient deck, and a lot of its characters and things become very difficult to get off the table. But it doesn't have a big damage output on its own either. So if your opponent doesn't commit a lot to the table and can do some steady damage early, it can be hard to come back from being down in a game.
Scott goes out and gets a docking bay with his objective. And there's a docking bay with from his hand. So
Okay.
Jabba's Haven's going to go get him now Hutta. And that's the thing, like, Jeremy's going to take a few turns setting up. Like, at least turn 1 is going to cost him, like, Yoda, whatever character he's using as his apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
So, in some ways, like, with Scott having Power of the Hut, Crush the Rebellion, like, he's going to be able to defend the audience chamber here.
Mm-hmm. Crush is an interesting start.
I don't mind it because Clash is a card that can hurt this deck a lot. Same with...
Oh, definitely. And it also pulls the Evader Monarch combo, which
Scott probably might be playing.
Could mess with some people and their card drawing ability.
Yeah, and there's Jabba the Hutt to pull Scum and Villainy. Scott not going to have to take the ping damage with the objective, so... Always feels bad to lose a card on your first turn to your own objective. As Scott does go into his draw phase, and he looks like he's going to draw some cards.
He does get to activate one with Power of the Hut there, so...
Yep, and Jabba's just chilling at his audience chamber, snacking on whatever disgusting thing he likes to eat.
Mm-hmm.
See him activate. Jeremy's also going to... So Jeremy activates and then uses Dagobah.
What does he eat? Buboes? Warts? What are we talking about?
I don't know, and I really don't feel like knowing. Like, some sort of critter.
Mm.
See if he's going to go take a Jedi test or if he's going to go get a location. He's going to pull Dagobah Yoda's hut. Really good card. Being able to subtract 2 from attrition anywhere.
Yeah, between the attrition subtraction from that and then the -1 from every destiny draw off test 3. That's what makes Mind What You Have Learned so problematic, especially when you come out with a character like Ahsoka or somebody who subtracts even more. Yeah.
Oh. So Chris Schoenthal has told us that he stacks on
Tatooine patty frogs?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to try it, but I'm so thankful you took it over.
So a
There's
little,
At
okay.
Peace.
Little pad thai action. Okay.
So At Peace now says no retrieval for the light side player. Yoda going down to his hut for 1 force.
But it does speed up his process a little bit too.
Daughter going down as well. Now he can start the Jedi testing process.
Right. He gets an extra +1 from it to his chaining destiny draws, and Yoda deployed for 1 cheaper.
Yeah. And I believe Daughter does as well.
It's only Dagobah icon characters that deploy minus, so.
So Daughter does not. That's
no. She has built in her own text that she deploys to -3 to Dagobah, but she still costs 4. Great Warriors out. He hit everything he needed to hit.
Yeah, he's going to take a point of damage, though. And again, without being able to retrieve anything, like anything he loses is going to hurt him. He loses Hojix. That's not going to be a card you want to see go to the lost pile.
If you're thinking about having to battle musicians to cause damage, that's probably one of the cards you're least excited about losing, for sure.
Jeremy pulls Battle Plan. Like, I know that's a card that Scott likes to grab in a lot of matchups with this musician decks, but seeing it's in the lost pile against Mind What You Have Learned with At Peace on the table, you're just like, I'm feeling really good now.
Now, like, your force retrieval is canceled, but Unita should still work.
Correct. But I believe he used... did he use... Walkling already? No, he did not.
At Peace comes from the objective, I think, right?
Yeah, so he could theoretically use Walkling to get the Hojix back. I think if you're Scott, you might want to try and bury that card just in case.
It's a good possibility that you don't want to... you've seen it lost. Depending on what else you need to do this turn, you've got 12 force. Can you afford to waste 3 of it?
Yeah,
draining for 1.
I know it feels bad to drain for 1, but making sure that card is buried is kind of good.
It does change the way the game plays out, for sure.
Mm-hmm. As we see that Jeremy gets the Dagobah Jungle, Scott uses now Hutta to look for a bounty card. He misses. Jeremy does get a free peek, and Scott's going to use Force Push and Pod Racer Collision as a loss center up to take a card into hand. So he's clearly looking for something here.
And this is all control phase actions, so he's going to see what he wants to set up here.
And he'll actually be up to 13 cards in Force Pile, so
that does also help too. So he might again pay that 3 to drain.
And he will do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a Bravo Fighter V hits the lost pile. And here we go. Greta coming down.
There comes our first musician.
First of probably many.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Greta, her main text is that while at Audience Chamber, all your other musicians are deploy -1 and forfeit +3. And that's anywhere.
Yeah. And other Rhodians deploy -1. She comes down for 1. That is reduced by the Scum and Villainy. You can use one force to pull a Rhodian. Akrev comes down for one force. He subtracts one for the attrition against you at the same site during once during each of your control phases. May use one force to take one musician in hand from the reserve deck. And now we have Rapper Toonie coming out, who deploys for free. Where present, adds X to force opponent must use to initiate a battle here, where X is the number of musicians present. May target one non-droid character present in battle. Draw Destiny. If Destiny is greater than the defense value, target's power is equal to 0. And Araka comes down as well for 3 force. And he's already got 17 power at the audience chamber.
And Araka, being a musician as well, also works with everybody else.
Yeah.
And retrieves a force if Luke's not at a battleground. So.
Yep, and makes it cost Jeremy 4. It's going to cost him 5 force to initiate a battle now.
Yep.
Holy crap.
I think the audience chamber is probably pretty safe at this point.
I would hope so. As Scott does draw the rest of his cards, he's got 10 in his hand, and now he can activate one. Oh, musicians.
Yep. They are a fun breed.
As we see that Jeremy goes and uses Dagobah Pool, a Jedi Strength. And Scott goes and gets the Evader and Monarch.
That's not surprising.
That is not surprising.
Of course, Jeremy does only have 11 cards in hand.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, Scott will like to keep him right there for a while, so.
Yeah. Jeremy draws a 7 for his Training Destiny. He should be able to hit this Great Warrior.
Yeah. You need greater than 12 total. You're getting 5.
Oh, wow.
You got 5 from Daughter, plus 1 from Yoda,
That's
plus
6.
1 from the site is 7.
Yeah, and he
plus
takes...
1 from At Peace is 8. So you really only needed to draw a 5 to begin with.
Oh, wow. He draws a 6, a 7, and a 6. That's... I don't necessarily know that, like, drawing that high is good. Like, you complete it, but then you just... All your good Destiny now are in your use pile. Although he does take the Bionic Hand in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Say that 5 times fast.
I'll pass.
There's the Dagobah Jungle.
And now because of At Peace, Test 2 cannot be moved. So if you're wondering why he's not going to move Test 2 here in a minute.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you're Scott, you wouldn't move it anyways.
Now, in this case, with only the 2 sites, well, the only reason you would consider moving it is because of where Test 3 goes.
Yeah.
Because 2 has to go on any unoccupied site. Test 3
goes to the jungle.
Right. So you would consider moving it just so it doesn't flip in the deploy phase. It flips or it completes rather in the move phase.
Yeah.
It's just a timing thing.
And Test 2 says that your opponent has to have ability of 6 or greater to draw Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Luke Skywalker, Rebel Scout, going down to the Great Sarlacc Pit with lightsaber, and we're going to have his Bionic Hand on the table.
You get some extra power, some extra immunity, but we know he doesn't have a Hoojix.
And with a power 17 full up musician pile. I mean, he's only got 5 force left. He's going to have 4 force left after he moves Daughter over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting play by Jeremy. Obviously, he's trying to get a foothold, trying to cause some damage here because he's behind, right? He lost the first game. He has to try and do something here. But I don't necessarily know, unless, I mean, he's got 9 cards in hand. He could have some real strong defensive stuff here. That you were really in a risky enough position
Well, he does save 3.
Hmm.
Now, this could mean that he has a Clash of Sabers, but with Clash of the Rebellion on the table, it doesn't do anything.
Right. Sorry about the mess combo, barrier, dodge. Like those are all real strong possibilities here.
Yeah.
Typically, you don't see mine once you have learned deploy stuff and start trying to battle until after test 2 is completed, just because of the way it changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
But again, he lost the first game by 11, so he doesn't want to lose too big of a foothold here.
Akrab's going to go pull another musician. Go get Rystall. Rystall, let's see what she does.
Oh,
Power
she
and
let
forfeit +2 at a Coruscant site, not going to come into play. May retrieve 1 force each time you deploy a musician to the same site. Once during each of your turns, may use 1 force to charm 1 male of ability less than 3. Present male is forfeit equals 0. Doesn't do anything against Luke.
Nope, just another musician with decent enough power and stuff. So
Yep. Jeremy asking if she counts herself when you deploy a musician. Scott,
yes,
knowing his deck, says yes.
each time you deploy a musician, retrieve a force. She counts for herself, much like several other characters that do that, like Kanan Jarrus, Jedi, and other people who say,
As Jeremy deploys simple tricks and nonsense, so he's out of shield pools at this point. And we have Maul Sith Infiltrator with Darth Maul going to now Hutta. I like that.
strong play, not usually the first thing you see go into space.
Nope, size Snoodles going down. During your
Usually
deploy
it's
phase, where present allows J. Quill or Bib Fortuna to deploy from the reserve deck, reshuffle. Once during each turn, when you have at least 3 musicians on table, may play Omnibox to cancel opponent's force rate at a related site. Uh-oh.
yeah. Now, Maul's interesting because you have to have a character there to do anything against him, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I can see why Scott chose to prioritize him over something like a Zuckus and Misthunter or an Ellis and Hinthra kind of thing, because
Yeah,
that Han Chewie Falcon, that Bravo fighter, those types of ships, they don't have passenger slots,
they do
so
not. So
they don't
Jeremy's,
do anything.
yep, Jeremy's going to go get Udi Ta. Interesting choice. As Scott draws up to 13, passes turn over to Jeremy. So the Unita is not bad, but at the same time, like, you're only going to get Bravo Fighter back? As we see, there's the deck of a swamp coming out.
Yeah, just keep taking those zeros out of the deck for now.
Yeah.
And obviously getting 1 or 2 extra force would be very helpful.
As we go to test 2.
And we're in the same situation again, where a 5 is all he needs to do it.
Yep.
And he can take into hand with Yoda.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good cards. I think we might see the Lando come into hand. Nope, he's going to pick the Lando. He does complete test 2.
He's not taking either card. Okay.
And we see that he's going to drain at the Sarlacc pit, make it a drain of 2. See,
then
is
he
there an
gets
Omnibox?
no Omnibox,
No Omnibox, so Scott's going to lose 2.
no always thinking with your stomach or
No, nothing, yeah. Greta from hand, as well as a Lana Dobreed and Sacrifice combo. Yeah, I think any of those cards would have been really big for Scott.
he's already significantly well, I shouldn't say significantly, but he's got a good foothold here, and he's going to start retrieving those cards anyway. So Jeremy's got a very uphill battle here, but completing Jedi Test 2 certainly helps. As
well as test 3.
Scott has very few characters that are going to be able to that draw off unable to otherwise, and if he's trying to cobble 6 together, 6 ability together, it's a little more challenging than just getting 4. And now with the -1 to basically everything, Luke is a lot harder to hit. He's defense value 7, essentially 8 or 9.
Yeah.
and he's immune to less than 8, essentially, 9 or 10 or 11, even with Yoda subtracting 2 from the hut as well. So
Unita going down to the audience chamber. That's going to get the Bravo fighter back. And notice, Scott did not cloak the Sith infiltrator.
no, not overly afraid of what Jeremy might have available to him to come after Maul with.
Yeah. Like, the best character would be, like, Rey or Ahsoka up there. And now that we see Rey going down to the ground.
Yep. And it's gonna be whether or not he has any ships that can even hold pilots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a Tantive? Does he have a layers, transport? Because if not, there's nothing he can do about Maul. He's got to find his own system if he has one.
Yeah.
And then Maul will just keep moving back and forth in front of him.
As he takes a card out of his use pile, he does take the bottom card with Rey as well. And there's an Anakin's lightsaber going on to her.
There's only 2 battlegrounds on the table, so satisfying, well, 3 battlegrounds technically, but satisfying resistance
Probably not
would
going to
not
happen.
be easy at this point in time. Now, Scott also does have 12 cards in hand. He could easily find a handful of aliens that deploy for next to nothing.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Like, Scott right now satisfies simple tricks and nonsense. He satisfies for battle plan, so he should be able to start retrieving. Jeremy, even though he's draining for 3 right now, Scott is going to be retrieving a lot of force.
Mm-hmm. He's going to drain for 2. They're about even on life force right now. It's 25 for Jeremy, 24 for Scott.
Yeah.
So again, if they just keep kind of trading damage here, they're both putting a lot of cards on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy might win the game, but Jeremy can't retrieve anything for the entire game. So
Yeah.
if Scott deploys a musician or 2 and retrieves a force or 2, and then throws in a battle there and scum and villainies 2 more cards.
Yep.
Well, now he's just flipped all that damage ahead.
Okay, so there goes an escape pod combo as well as relatively unprotected, both from hand. Scott checking out the 12 cards that are in his deck. I would almost be surprised to see if Scott's playing like Presence of the Force. I know that's a card he really likes. Oh, and there's a changing the odds to put up interrupt out of play.
Ooh,
Right?
that's a fun card.
That is.
If only it was pullable like Pod Racer Collision is, but I guess that'd be too easy.
Yeah. Let's see what Jeremy wants to put out of play here. So he's giving some great thought to it.
Do you put a High Destiny card out of play just to take away a High Destiny? Do you put...
He's going to put an Omnibox in its worst. That is probably the best one to put out of play.
That is a great card. Like you said, the Omnibox can be used to cancel force drains at adjacent locations. And if, you never know if you're running it, it could be worse of your own. You certainly don't want to get hit with its worse.
No, you don't. So, yeah, I think that was probably the best option for Jeremy. Now, if Scott's playing multiple, because, again, with size Snoodles...
Mm-hmm. You do have to think about yourself, too, if he had, like, a Gick or something like that, do I want to get rid of that now and then try and overflow him, or... You're like, probably not going to happen.
As Akrab's going to pull Kith Abba. Another musician going into Scott's hand.
Thaba does have a strong game text that gives him a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. And Greeta is going to pull Greedo. I wonder if they're related.
It's a good question.
Unfortunately, Greedo is not a musician, though.
No. Guess all the musical talent doesn't run on that side of the family.
As we see Rystal going down to the Sarlacc pit.
And here's where the shenanigans start to happen is
Yep.
between the retrieval and the fact that like all these guys are practically free.
Yeah. And here we go. Scott's going to retrieve with Rystal.
Scum makes the -1. Greetot makes the -1.
And the retriever and Oompa Star. Power +2 at a jump spell site. Each of your other musicians at the same site is power +2 and immune to attrition less than 3. He himself is immune to attrition less than 4.
Yep. And just like that, he's deployed 3 crappy aliens, and yet he's got 15 power already.
Yep. Get the boss comes down. Power +1 equals 1 plus the ability of the highest opponent's character. So he's a 7 by himself.
Plus 2 more from Umpus Day, so now he's up to 9.
Greedo comes down. Lin Me comes down, so subtracts 1 from the deploy cost of bounty hunters at the same site. Boba Fett comes down for free. During the battle, subtracts X from opponent's total power. X is the number of other musicians present. +2 if battling Luke or Han, +4 if both. Oh my gosh. Bargwin Dan and Boba Fett Bounty Hunter all come down. Scott's got 32 in power. He's going to have 3 battle destiny. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. And he spent 5 force to do it. 4 force.
And he retrieved some. As he's going to retrieve 2 more with his Scum and Villainy. Jeremy at 5 power. That's it.
Yep, he's -7 because of Lin Me. Because he's got 5 musicians and it's +2
Scott's going to play a ceasefire to cancel all weapons. And where's the Hojix when you need it?
In the lost pile, where he lost it first turn. Not looking good for Jeremy at this point in time.
As there goes Techmore and Arasing with Blaster Rifle.
We're talking 32 and 3 battle destiny because of Boba Fett with Greedo here versus 5 and a draw that's +2.
It's +1. How's it +2?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. So used to seeing Luke with like my father. That it's actually only +1.
Jeremy does grab the ceasefire. Smart grab.
I mean, sure, why not? Take a card away from your opponent.
Yeah. But this is going to be some. As we see, Luke's going to exchange a card from. He go gets the Hojix. That's going to save him.
Yep. There's the Bionic Hand brilliance and why that card is such a pain in the.
Scott had a first strike on the table.
If first strike was out, he obviously doesn't grab the ceasefire.
Yeah.
But all these guys are dead. The Hojix is going to get grabbed.
And I don't know what is Scott going to lose here?
Probably Boba Fett. Just because he doesn't have to pay the maintenance on him. Because he's just going to retrieve him and redeploy him again later.
Yeah, and as James points out in the chat, Scott has the sights locked down pretty much now. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Total battle destiny is 5. Oh, and he draws a 1.
They're all immune.
They're all immune.
Well, they're not all immune, right? The musicians are all immune to less than 3.
Only Greedo is not immune.
Greedo and, Boba Fett's technically immune to less than 5, you're right. So it's just Greedo.
Oh, no, he's going to cancel and redraw it. Draws a 2. He's still immune. Wait, no. He's all of his musicians are not immune.
No.
So
somebody was going to die anyway.
But that is a very timely Hojix for Jeremy. As Bargwin Dan goes to the lost pile.
Okay.
Now, if you're Jeremy, do you decide to peel some cards here?
No.
I mean, you got to lose Luke.
It's game over. Otherwise,
yeah,
you have to lose Luke and everything and play the Hojix and hope to God you have something else in that 11-card hand.
Yeah, and I wonder if Scott's going to grab the Hojix.
I would.
Yeah.
Because you don't want him playing another Bionic Hand and getting it back again.
Yeah, unless he's got only 1. But yes, Scott does grab the Bionic Hand, and holy crap, that's exactly what Scott wants to do in this game. And I think you just pay the upkeep for Boba Fett and pass turn.
Yeah, at this point in time, I think
Yeah.
you're good.
Like, it's going to cost Jeremy so much to come down, deploy a character, and then to battle. Like, he's going to have just one character to battle, and there's really nobody there that you can really, like, I don't see anybody that Scott or Jeremy can go down with outside of, like, maybe a Qui-Gon with lightsaber to battle.
He needs multiple characters, obviously.
Yeah.
And even then, it's still such an uphill fight. These guys have tremendous power, decent forfeits thanks to Greta, and a lot of interesting game texts that make some really crazy situations.
I love this and hate this at the same time. As we see Jeremy check out the 11 cards that are in his deck. Again, Scott won game 1 by 11. So as long as he does not lose this game by more than 11, he'll advance.
I think he's going to be okay.
After what we just saw, maybe. As there's a grappling hook coming out for Jeremy.
Jeremy obviously worked real hard to get to this point and had to assume Scott was going to play this musician deck. So thought he liked the matchup for some reason.
Yeah. Or he did, or he might not have liked the matchup and decided to go with Darkseid first.
But even the decks are locked, aren't they?
Yeah, they're locked.
Okay,
100%.
so it's not like he could have lost and then been like, oh, I changed my mind. Like, I don't want to play against.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Mind What You Have Learned now. The decks are locked. Okay, so that at least.
Yeah, Jeremy is locked. All these decks are locked until the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see every deck that is played from henceforth to the finals. Okay, Qui-Gon Jinn, Serene Jedi going down to the audience chamber. That just seems like death.
I mean, Meditation's a fun card. Meditation would be a real fun card right now, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Like, Jeremy cannot initiate.
No. He's just trying to avoid the force loss.
And I get that, but, like, Scott's going to beat the crap out of those two characters.
Most likely.
Okay, scanner text reduces the forfeit values, but again, Jeremy cannot initiate. Well, actually, no, he initiates for free.
Is that because of scanner text?
Yeah, scanner text makes you attack. You can initiate for free now.
Okay, so there's a nice combo there between being able to initiate battle for free and not allowing his characters to have their forfeit value increased, because these musicians, most of them have pretty terrible forfeit.
And there's a meditation like you were just talking about.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Like, okay, Jeremy's doing Mind What You Have Learned things here.
Mm-hmm. Opponent's aliens are all power -1, so he just took 6 power away right there. Some of them are some of them are forfeit -2. Well, because there's 1 or 2 leaders. Jawa's a leader, and I don't know if Ak Rev or anybody else. Probably
I don't think anybody else is a leader.
Yeah. He could pitch it to get the extra battle destiny, but I don't know if you want to. You don't lose the effect to the end of battle, so you do get to still keep the power modification. So it's like you're like, oh, I get an extra battle destiny, but now he's got 6 more power back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Scanner text is going to work against Qui-Gon next turn, because if Qui-Gon is still there, he's plus X, the number of weapons that are fired, goes away. So Qui-Gon's just going to swing at Jabba. That's going to be a 5. So yes, this is going to hit Jabba.
It does stop him from adding to the total battle destiny next turn, but I don't know that that's going to be as relevant.
Yeah. No, scanner text is really big for Jeremy.
For this battle here, absolutely.
And there's a sorry about the mess. Let's see if Scott has an answer. Scott does have the answer, so that's going to cancel the sorry about the mess and projector blaster proficiency. And balance goes to the use pile. So Jabba's going to stick around, and he's going to make an alien plus double their power.
You double Erica there to get a couple more.
Yeah, double Erica, go to 16 down. So he's up by 6 with meditation being used.
Mm. But now that was forfeit 0 off of Qui-Gon's lightsaber, so Erica gonna definitely be the one to die here, plus somebody else.
I don't think Erica's going to be the one to die.
I mean,
She might have to be.
she's gonna have to be because he just drew
Yeah,
11 in Battle Destiny.
Yeah.
He has not used Jabba's Haven or anything yet, so he will
That's
obviously
true.
still be able to pull people back, and but he only has 4 cards in hand, so how much more of this can he set back up? Subtracts 1 to make it at 2. Yoda subtracts from the attrition, which he's immune to anyway, but just for hoo-has. Light side wins the battle, loses nothing except the meditation. Dark side has to lose 10, which is going to be Erica for 7, and then probably like a size Noodles or somebody.
Yep, loses size Noodles, loses Erica, and that will be it.
Mm-hmm. Good turn for Jeremy. He had to do something. He threw a haymaker here, and it landed. So he's got a little bit of wiggle room here, but obviously now we know we're going to see Rev can pull a musician during the control phase. Jabba's Haven
get somebody back.
Can get somebody back.
This is the rebeat is kind of what you kind of worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could even see like an Ellis Hellrod from the pit to the audience chamber and just.
Well,
oof.
That would, yeah.
With Hojik's grab, that would be just like.
Well, this was fun. I'm gonna go do something else. Thanks for playing. Good luck in the next round.
So we see Scott activate, drains for 1 up at now Hutta. There goes a Honshu the Falcon to the lost pile. That card doesn't really do anything up in space.
Unfortunately, not. That Maul, that Maul's a killer.
That Maul is such a good card. There goes drain at the Great Pit of Carcoon. Free ride combo off the top of the reserve deck. Scott checking out what his cards in his reserve deck are. Probably at least 1 or 2 musicians.
And just in case any of our viewing audience later is wondering, because the Maul Sith Infiltrator is an independent starship, while Maul is piloting it, he is not counting against Scum and Villainy.
Here we go. Greeda's going to pull a Rodian. She pulls Doo-Doo Bondoito.
Remember when they used to do those spelling challenges?
Oh, yeah. That's a card I would never have anybody try and spell. Power +2 at most likely. Opponent's Jedi or Jawas are power -1 here. Once during each of your control phases, may peek at the top X cards of your force power. Reorder them however you wish, and replace them where X equals the number of musicians at the same site. Boba Fett moves over in the move phase. Oompa Stay moves over. I think he's just going to move over everybody.
Maybe.
You have to.
I don't know. You need everybody, do you? Do you need everybody?
Yeah, because then you risk the second Jedi test. Like, you don't have enough ability there.
Well, yeah, now I guess he doesn't. He's down to 3 or 4, so.
And the other thing is, being that Jeremy can just initiate for free, not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, let's move everybody over, get like 50 total power. And,
why not?
I mean, again, you won the first game. You're doing drains of 1 and 1 because obviously Qui-Gon and Rey aren't going to stay there.
Nope.
So even if your opponent moves away and the two of you just trade off, you drain 2 for free. They drain 2 by paying for it.
Yeah, no, they're going to drain for. They would drain for 1. Because that's the Destiny. That's the Destiny 5 lightsaber that does not add to a drain.
That's 2. That's true. So I mean, worst case scenario was a tie, in which case the dark side is still either going to win the game or lose by less than 11.
Yeah.
And that's fine for Scott. And best case scenario, Jeremy gets a small win, right? So.
Yeah.
I think he's okay with this.
Now he does save So he activates everything. He still has 3 force left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe Jeremy's going to do something crazy here. I don't know.
You never know. He's got to try something, right? Because again, if you just look at the board position and don't change anything about it, you lose the match.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how Scott feels about scanner attacks. Because it would cost, it would normally cost Jeremy an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 force to initiate there.
Light side initiates battle for +7 force from Rappertoonie. By the way, if you click on the audience chamber, it tells you helpful things like that. So you don't try and do it yourself and miscount.
Yeah. I only did that because I don't feel like pulling up the audience chamber and blocking out everything that's going on screen right now for everybody.
Sure.
As you see that Jeremy is still in his activate phase. We did see him just take a card with Ray. Yeah, grabbing the ceasefire was really good for Jeremy, especially when he was able to get that Hojix back.
Yeah, without the bionic hand to swap for the Hujix, we would have been game over.
Yeah. And the thing is, Jeremy can't go anywhere else because, like we've said, there's only 3 battlegrounds on the table. One's up in space and there's 2 on the ground. And Scott has the one just so locked down at this point.
Right. And this, it feels weird. I've personally have never enjoyed this. When you're playing a deck with no battlegrounds of your own for exactly this type of situation and reason. But
as we see, Jeremy gets the meditation back.
And watch him go from 46 to 37 power. That meditation's working overtime right there. Just took 9 power away. It's better than putting a character out, right?
Yeah, because it doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost you anything. Gets you another destiny.
Needs more characters.
Scott?
And then he has to. Yeah. But of course, you have to be careful with some of these guys because.
I mean, the other big thing is like. Luke. Rappertoonie. I was going to say Luke's lightsaber and Anakin's lightsaber are both in the lost pile. Like, those are the cards you really needed in this matchup.
Between Rappertoonie making somebody potentially power 0 and Ristal, I mean, it's less than ability 3, so probably not going to happen for her to make somebody forfeit 0.
No.
But obviously also keeping track Lin Mi over here.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
She'd be subtracting 7, 9 power, which would basically take him down to 0.
Yeah. As we see Ahsoka Tano going down to the Sarlacc pit. Is this telling us that Jeremy's just going to run away?
I think so.
Like, Lando going down as well. Yeah, this just screams he's running away and going to try and drain for 1.
Unless he's going to move them both over and he was just trying to avoid like a none-shall pass because of the rebels.
Yeah, it's a possibility, yeah.
It's thin, but it seems more likely they'd be moving away.
Yeah, he's just going to move away. I mean, you kind of hate to see it. Like, but at this point, what can you do? And the other thing is, like, Jeremy just ate a lot of time off the clock there.
Yeah, I mean, they both still have over 24 minutes left, so time not a factor yet, but...
Yeah, it's not a factor yet, but we see that Scott's going to go get Erica back with his Jabba's Haven. I think that's the right card to get back because you deploy her, you retrieve 1, and then in each of your control phases, you're going to retrieve 1 as long as Luke's not out.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
If you had Luke, you probably would have put him out already, right? So, just redeploy Erica to, drain for 2, redeploy
Yeah.
Erica to the party, retrieve a card.
And the other thing is, like, Scott only has 11 force each turn,
Hmm.
but he doesn't need it.
As long as Scum is working and Greeda's on the table,
Yeah.
he sure doesn't.
As we see, impressive, most impressive, and Padme both go to the lost pile. Scott doing now hottest stuff, checking out his destiny.
Yeah, I mean, he's still in the driver's seat here, so.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you said, Scott is in a point where he's essentially losing 1 a turn, if that.
Mm-hmm.
As we see Dondo go down for free. Rystall retrieves 1.
Get that musician you lost last turn back. Yep.
Yeah. And I think this is all Scott really needs to do.
He didn't even need to do that. He was already far enough ahead. But, yes.
Araka comes down, upping his total power up to 50.
Well, it's good because, only being in the 40s was really probably making him a little insecure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a lot of people in the 40s. Like, you're in the 40s, once you get to that level, you're... Being in the 50s is better.
And he can retrieve 1 more with Rystall because she's not limited to once per turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's once per character. So now we just got Jabba back.
Yep. Yeah, I just don't know. And Twilight Advisor to go get himself a passenger deck or a pit as he just puts the card back. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, I know Scott doesn't need it right now, but, like, we might see, like, Come Here You Big Coward come out. Like, there's just so much Scott's doing right now.
No, he doesn't need Coward.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what shield. Like, I don't know what if there's any other shields that really help him. But he doesn't need the help.
The only thing he would need would be Battle Order, which Lightside already played for him, so.
Yeah.
Just ready, go. Pass. Yeah. Pay upkeep.
Oh, pay upkeep. Keep Boba on the table,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, like, I don't think he needs to worry about, like, if he can find Ellis and if he can find, like, another ceasefire. Maybe?
I mean, he could just sit here for 6 turns and just win the game just by 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything else.
Jeremy's sitting at 20 hand in life, so yeah, we need 5. I would say 5 turns left.
I mean, if it's 2 damage a turn, it would be and he's got 20 cards left. You could sit here for 10 turns and do nothing other than just drain 2, go, drain 2, go.
Once you get Jeremy under 10, or once you get him under 11, like, he's not able to retrieve.
That's also true.
So.
Yeah, and Solid Snack pointing out in the chat, he's paying more for upkeep on Boba Fett than he is paying for deploying his characters.
Yeah, we saw him use the only force that he used last turn was to deploy Araka, upkeep, and 2 to retrieve.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it is definitely a tough deck to play against.
As we see him pull a useless gesture. I mean, we already saw the Honshu and the Falcon in the deck. I don't think Solo is going to be there.
Are we talking about any subliminal messaging here?
As he throws the Jabba sail barge away. Yeah, I think we are seeing some subliminal messages.
Little gamesmanship.
Wow,
He's like,
whatever. Oh, man.
Whatever you do, the rest of this game is a useless gesture.
That's just. Isn't Jeremy a teammate of yours?
He is.
Okay. I really want him to watch just this stream just for that, what you just said.
There you go. I mean, he knows he's in a bad spot here. He's obviously just trying to see what else he can do and play it out, which is what you have to do when you're playing in these types of events. You have to just keep pushing. You never know when your opponent might do something stupid and give you an opportunity. Maybe he moves 4 or 5 of those characters over to try and block the drain.
Ooh. Okay, Jin.
Maybe you find something like Jyn Erso, who slows the damage down. Right now, it's
for
1
a turn
each.
or 2. Yeah. I like the Sean Lux in the chat points out you can't really feel sympathy for mind what you have learned.
Well,
Can you though?
so Jin's gonna block that drain. So now they're each doing 1 damage a turn.
Yeah.
Life force counts. Scott is at 19 down plus 7 in hand. Jeremy is at 13 down plus 6 in hand. So
Yeah.
Jeremy's still behind, even though, and again, they're doing the equal number of damage at this point.
So now Jeremy's sitting at 12 in life force.
Yep.
So, and the thing is, like, if Scott has Uraguda solo or anything to break Jin's cover,
I'm sure he does. The question is whether or not it's in hand right now, right? I mean, he's got to
Yeah.
have Uta. I mean, Uta pulls Rhodians, so that would make sense to be a card in this deck. And
yeah.
if you're thinking about, other possibilities, I guess Probot.
There goes a Clash of Sabers from hand. Good card to lose.
Yeah, use a force to upload a Rhodian, and since Rhodians are kind of key to what he wants to get going on there, I have to imagine he's got 1, if not 2, of those in this deck.
Grappling hook to shuffle the force pile. Interesting.
There he goes again, checking out that gem code.
Yeah, except this time I don't think Scott's going to draw a home 1 War Room for Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
As we see Erica retrieve 1, she's going to get back that sail barge passenger deck.
Ew. I mean, it's nice to retrieve cards.
Tell us how you really feel about the passenger deck.
It's nice to retrieve cards, but it's really never want to put a 0 back in your deck, do you?
No, but, I mean, Dodo is checking out the force pile that Jeremy just shuffled, and now Scott can put it in any order he wants it to be.
He's going to track it for overload. Here you go.
Overload the lightsaber.
Overload Qui-Gon. Bye. There goes you and your meditation. Give me my 12 power back.
That would be... That would be just... Okay, so now he's going to shuffle the use pile, so he can't track the 0.
And
he's going to sense it.
He's adding 4.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. Yeah, that's 4. So it misses. But it puts a card back.
I mean, you had to try, right?
Yeah, you kind of had to try. I mean, why not?
Make your opponent lose a force. He's shield busted. Nothing he can really do about it.
Yeah. Scott's just getting cute at this point. Twilight Advisor to go get the passenger deck that we just saw him retrieve. Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to it if Scott has Uta goes to solo here or something to break Jin's cover. And Scott only has 11 characters there.
Oh, you're right. My mistake. Jin Ursa blends in
and
so
we
well.
don't discuss draw phase.
All right.
Yeah, that's the epitome of a doom stack right there, though.
Mm-hmm. He didn't have the Utah Guta, so I guess he's going to have to draw for it.
And the thing is, though, he just put his force pile in any order he wants, so... Like... Okay. Pays for the upkeep on... Boba.
Well, he could only look at the top X cards, right? So he couldn't put the whole thing in whatever order he wanted.
He looked at 11. I think.
Number of musicians, other musicians at same site. So he probably only looked at like 6 or 7.
Well, he's got 11 characters there. 2 of them are not musicians, so 9, so 8.
9, yeah, okay.
Scott has 2 force spells. Yeah, I noticed that, Mike. I don't want to mess with it and ruin the code.
He does have 2 force piles.
Yep, as he loses Zuckus and Forlom and Miss Hunter from his hand.
He's got 6/6. Isn't that an alien? Jabba's palace.
As we see Luke come down. It's going to turn off the Erica retrieval.
There you go.
This jumps jumps Jeremy's power to 27. Still not as big as 50.
No, at some point in time, obviously Jeremy doesn't have the force to deploy and move people, so
no.
We'll get one more turn of, he'll lose a card from hand and then slide all 5 people over.
See Scott activate everything but 2. I wonder why he saved 2 to cancel Jin Urso with a Gom scan detection.
There you go.
Jin will peek at Scott's hand. Jeremy's going to take and look and see what his downfall is going to be. And we see Jeremy just concede.
It was an uphill battle from the start.
Yeah.
This one, Jeremy tried to do what he could to make a game out of it.
I'm just wondering what was in the hand to make Jeremy concede right there.
I mean, even if he has any more characters, it's just like, well, even if I wanted to move people over and try and battle through that,
yeah,
he's just going to put more guys down.
So Scott will take this game and advance into the top 4. So right now we have Connor Britton, Scott Lingrell, and Jason Rundell in the top 4. We're still waiting on the winner of Johnny Chu versus David Woods. And
congratulations to Scott on a well-played match. Congratulations to Jeremy on making it to the top 8 to begin with. And
Jeremy was our number 2 seed. Like, he was the second ranked player after Connor, and Scott was number 8. So, kind of an upset. But yeah, congrats to both players, and then thank you, Chris, for joining us today. It has been a pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back. I'll be back later tonight to stream Johnny Chu versus David as our last game in the top 8. So until then, everybody enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you later.